one world. And we are recording to the cloud now. So welcome everyone to the weekly All for One, One for All Zoom webinar. We started this well and truly before the trend of social isolation started. So we were on the forefront of doing these things. And what this group is all about is just people getting together and sharing their knowledge, their IP, their presentations, their ideas. You know, you can share your songs and your poems if you want to. So tonight we've got the pleasure of having Amanda Kate on, and I've known Amanda probably maybe only 1 to 2 years, and and I think we actually met first time at the business marketplace. Did you come to the business marketplace one time?
I reckon I might have.
Yeah, I think you did. You stood out at the at the Crest on Barclay. I'm pretty sure you came to that one, and that's where I met Ross, and I met Alistair there, and another one of our guys that's normally on Harsha. We met him through that too. So it's a big connecting kind of place. But more about you. Tell us a little bit about you before you get started. I know you're a kinesiologist, and
indeed,
that your training is, you know, should have a PhD next to your name because it's that extensive.
Yeah, should do.
Just tell us in a nutshell what do you do?
If you ask my clients of even a couple of years, I still think they'll tell you they have no clue what I do, but it works.
Yeah.
I am, if you want to drill it down to the basis level, I'm an energy healer. But I go a lot deeper than that in the fact that I'm working on the energy systems in the body. So it's been scientifically proven through quantum physics that the physical body's 4% physical matter. The rest of, or the universe is 4% physical matter, I should say. And the rest of the universe, they know 23% dark matter. They have no idea what the rest of it is. So when I'm looking at you as a human meat suit that you go through, I guess, planet Earth on, the meat suit's 4%. Yep. 96% is your emotional self, mental self, spiritual self, energetic self, all of those different aspects of you that still make up you. So whether that's finance or business or relationships or whatever, they all actually add up to the sum total of you. So what I look at is getting the whole body back into balance, not just that physical side. So most therapists work on physical symptoms. I use physical symptoms as a signpost to find what the root cause is. And I want to work on what the root cause is so that we reduce and start to eliminate some of the physical symptoms that come through into the physical body, because it's actually one of the last places that dis-ease or a lack of wellness shows up.
Yeah, so it's one of these things that I've always wanted to come and have done. So it's on the books, Amanda. It is on the books. Particularly when I know that you can treat people on Zoom as well, which
yes.
is an amazing fact that you can do that. But I really want to experience it face to face. So we might have to wait a couple of months.
That's all right. Do you know, it's one of those really interesting things, and I've had a lot of people ask me how on earth I do it in Zoom, but whether you're on the other end of a phone line, Zoom line, whatever, or whether you're actually face to face with me in clinic, I'm working on the energetic body.
Yeah.
So I'm actually using biofeedback. And so whether I muscle test on you or whether I muscle test on me, we're still interacting as an energetic body. And that's the beauty of it, because we're working on a vibrational field and a vibrational frequency and the quantum field, so to speak, rather than the actual just taking it down to the base physics.
Yeah. It's just fascinating. Okay. Let's try a Zoom meeting first then. You've sold me. Because energy can travel through everything. Travels through a fax line.
I know.
It's all energy, isn't it? So Fabulous. So what are you going to share with us tonight?
Well, it's something that I guess I've learned in the last 4 years of business. I was saying to Alistair just before we connected, I was one of those people who never had any boundaries. I had no clue what they were. I grew up in a quite a religious household, and you just didn't say no because you would have gotten in trouble. And then going through, I guess, my life experience, I never understood what boundaries were. Coming into the kinesiology world and the energy healing world, and also I don't just do personal development, I look at spiritual development, because for me we're all spirit beings in physical form. And so looking into all of that development, I had to look at how I showed up in the world, but also because I'm an empath, and not in the buzzword of empath where everyone's empathic and, you know, everybody takes it on. I actually do take on other people's energy, to the fact that I can differentiate when I'm walking down the street whether I'm feeling my own anxiety or somebody else's, which took me probably a couple of years to work out, when it was mine and when it was somebody else's. But it's looking at this because kinesiology works brilliantly in your personal life, but I'm seeing such huge shifts in my business owner clients that I want to take it into the business world. And I think it's super important when we start to look at ourselves, not just as human beings, but also business beings, that we look at our self-care and we look at our boundaries in business, because both things, if we don't get them right, we're going to burn out, and we're going to burn out quickly. So I do tend to work very interactively. So please, if anyone has a question, fire it at me, because I again, energy exchange. So if people give me stuff, it'll just keep things going. I do have plenty and I can talk for ages. So that's also obviously going to happen. So I'll start with what a boundary is, because that very simple thing I never quite understood before. In theory, it is as simple as saying, this is okay, this is not okay. It's that line in the sand. Now, that gets messy when we take it into pretty much anywhere other than theory, because depending on how much sleep you've had the night before, how your kids have been with you, your relationship with your partner at the time or in that minute, all of these different aspects of our life actually change the resilience that we have and the ability that we have to respond to things. So again, when we're looking at boundaries, boundaries will often change depending on what we are. And there's some boundaries that are just, that's that line, and you cross it, you're out. And they're, I guess, in some ways the easiest boundaries to work out. But there's a lot of other little boundaries that come in, and especially when owning our own business and being our own business people. So I'll give you the example of 2 weeks ago when I was supposed to do this talk. I had a little bit of a dip on the Sunday night. It was just after I sent out the email to my clients that I couldn't do face-to-face anymore, because I wouldn't have been covered by my insurance company and I wouldn't have been covered by my governing body. So I sent that out, and that whole next day I was getting people pulling out and saying, no, I'm going to wait till I can see you face-to-face. Now, in the meantime, I've managed to sort of explain to them how online sessions work, and pretty much everyone's come back. And actually, in some ways, they're needing me more. But in that moment, and for that 24 hours or so, I actually needed to feel into the grieving. Now, I could have felt into that grieving, and I could have processed that emotion and the fear and all of those different things that were coming up for me. I guess looking at my business fall apart, for want of a better term, for where I was in that moment. And I had to make a decision. And I know that decision came quite late in the day, because I was going, no, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I'm a professional, I can get up and I can do it. And I went, what the hell is my talk about? It's about self-love and boundaries in business. Yeah. Now, if I'm sitting here in grief and devastation and feeling through those emotions, that it's not just my business that's changing, it's my life, I actually needed to honor myself in that point and allow myself to go through that process without rushing it. And by the next day, I was feeling absolutely fine, because I'd given myself that time. Now, when we feel into our emotions, when we acknowledge that they're there, when we validate that they're there. So why are you there? Well, you're there because I've just sent out this message to my client list and my whole business is changing. Okay, well, it's like a toddler that stands there and goes, mom, 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 and you go, yes, and then they run off because they're happy because they got a bit of attention. It's the same thing with your feelings in a broader sense. The anger or the grief will keep saying, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And if we keep ignoring it, suppressing it, repressing it, hiding it under the rug, pushing it away, we're not giving it the due that it needs to be able to flow through our body, so that we can experience it, but not have it stay. Now, if we suppress it or fight it in some way, it causes a blockage. Now, what that blockage does in the short or long term is very variable. So sometimes it can actually lead to quite big dis-ease in the body. And sometimes it can just lead to things like mental or emotional fatigue. So in just looking at that, I had a lot of stuff to honor myself, and it pretty much covered this whole topic of self-care in business and boundaries in
joined
business.
the meeting.
Is Harsha. There he is.
Hi.
Sorry, a little bit late.
That's okay. Thanks for joining. So when we're talking about that boundary and that simple yes or no, if we take that into our business, and this is okay, this is not okay, that goes down to what hours do I work? If I'm based from home, it's sometimes very easy just to take that extra phone call or do that extra email or just log in and check what people are doing. And especially now that we're all online and I know I'm online and a lot of people are moving online, there's a lot less boundary between home life and business life. There's a lot less boundary between daytime, nighttime, and what was it? Day pajamas, night pajamas is the meme going around. So there's a lot of that stuff that's going on right now. And that boundary comes in of, okay, no, now is home time. Now is family time. To give you the example of last year, I had told myself that Friday was my day off. So I gave myself Fridays off. I worked Monday to Thursday. I was often up in the Sunshine Coast for a weekend doing clinic. It was once a month. And then I had other commitments, like I was still at school. So I've done about 6 years worth of study in 4 years or something crazy like that. So I spent a lot of time at school on weekends as well. So I was working out, but I was working anything up to 17 or 20 days at a time without a break. And that's not sustainable. So I put in my Fridays as my day off. And then I realized that I was not honoring those Fridays. So I would do networking events and I would be doing coffee catch-ups with people that I'd met at networking events. And I'd be doing all of this work-related stuff. And then I'd find it'd be 2 or 3 weeks without a break. And I was getting into these really long periods. And my business started to decline. And I went back and I looked and I went, oh, I'm actually not taking a lot of time out of my business and a lot of time with that boundaried self-care time that I need, especially in the field where I am helping other people with some big emotional issues. As soon as I started honoring my Friday off, my business started to grow. Wow. And so by putting in that boundary and honoring that boundary that I knew that I needed to be able to keep my energy levels up, all of a sudden my business increased, which was huge. And that goes back to that self-care aspect. When you are a business owner and you know that you've got to hit, certain targets or certain income requirements or whatever to keep roofs over your head and children fed and clothed and kids in school and, all of those things that we've got to pay for, those boundaries become even more and more important because we have to honor ourselves as a human being as well as ourselves as a business owner. So the self-care side of things actually comes in with that discernment. When is it a yes? When is it a no? How do I blend the two? How do I make those, or which compromises do I make if I feel like I have to make compromises? And it all comes down to us, I guess, playing with our boundaries a little bit. working out, you know, sometimes if we've got more energy, we might do an extra few hours of work, or we might decide that actually, you know what, I'd prefer to go and play around a golf, or, you know, go for a walk on the beach, or whatever it is. It becomes discernment and choice. What's actually going to fill my cup right now? What's going to make me, and I know that's such an overused term, but it is, you know, is that me putting on my oxygen mask first and making sure that I've got enough in my tank to care for me, to care for my clients, to grow my business, to nurture myself and my business? Because going back to the fact that the human physical form is only 4%, we're looking at a huge amount that goes on apart from that physical thing, and the same happens in our business. So, oh, apologies. My little Healy just finished doing its magic on my knee. So one of the things that I also look at in terms of that self-care is looking at your values and how you then align them so that you can be authentic in business, you can be in alignment in business, and you can honor your time off and you can honor your time in the business. So it's also looking at that way that we bring all of those different pieces of us together to be a whole person and look at our 7-day week rather than just look at our work week, if that makes sense. Oftentimes also when you see people getting excited about their business, and I notice it even more now at networking events since I worked it out, is a lot of people talk about their business and they're super excited and this is what I do. But that's actually a really high adrenal state, and that's not sustainable. So again, part of the reason I talk about having that balance and having that self-care and having those boundaries in business is it actually brings us out of that adrenal state. So we're not in a fight or flight. We're not in that freeze mode where we're like a deer in the headlights. We're not fragmented and falling apart. And we're not trying to please everybody. So they've actually added to the adrenal states now that fawn is actually an official adrenal state, which is where we try and please other people. And that takes a lot of our own energy out of us. So when we're looking at this adrenal state that a lot of people go into in business, this is what equals burnout. This is what leads us to burnout, because our adrenals only have so much life force and energy that we can have without propping them up, without nurturing them and nourishing them and making sure that they're cared for to be able to take us through the long haul. So then we end up with all of these business owners who've gone into business with great ideas and great business models, finding that 18 months, 2 years down the track, they're just damn exhausted because they've worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They're not switching off. They're not having that time for them to replenish their own stores. And that's where I'm finding a lot of my clients end up coming to me, is kind of going, I'm exhausted. I'm not able to sustain and maintain this level of work that I'm doing, but I feel like if I take my foot off the brake, it's going to decline and disappear.
Oh, I can totally relate.
Yeah, and it's not the case often. So oftentimes we end up taking our foot off the brake, having a bit more of a relax, taking a bit more of an embodied approach where we're coming down, grounding our energy, and then we actually find we're more productive because we're not up in this kind of heightened anxiety almost state. We're bringing it down, we're grounding our energy, we're calming, we're honoring our time off, we're filling our own cup, we're giving ourselves that time to balance home and work life, we're giving ourselves time to have a bit of playtime. And that's something else that seems to be a dirty word when you're a business owner, is playtime. And what happens though when we bring it down, it doesn't mean that we're any less passionate than the people who are up here, but we're certainly going to last longer because we're not burning out those adrenal issues and everything like that. And a lot of the time people get themselves into that state is actually because they're sitting in a fear and scarcity mindset. And I don't know anyone else who's noticed that over the last few weeks, but that's the prominent mindset of society at the moment, is that we are that there is a lot of fear and scarcity around. There isn't that abundance mindset that goes there. My biggest shift actually in honoring that time off, I started to recognize that the more I looked after myself, the more my business actually grew, because I wasn't wearing myself out to look after other people. I was able to look after myself and look after. So they weren't mutually exclusive. They were able to be done together. So does anyone have any questions at this point, or any comments or anything they'd like me to clarify?
Well, my mind just keeps going to the movie The Green Mile, where, have you seen that movie?
Oh, years ago.
Yeah,
You need to remind me.
remember he could heal people because he would hold on to them, and he would suck all that bad energy out of them. But it made him, in the end, I think it killed him or something like that, because he took on too much of these people's sickness and things like that. And it also reminds me of there's the new Disney Plus show, The Mandalorian, which is the new Star Wars series, and it's got a baby Yoda in it, and he's the most gorgeous little thing. But every time, because he's only a baby, which is 50 years old for his race, he's like a 1-year-old child, really, and but he's 50 years old, and every time he uses the Force, he's just passed out after it. He's just dead tired and sleeps for days, because he's used so much energy and used all this force, which is kind of like what you're doing, using the Force in a way. And it's like that whole empath thing of, you just take on so much of the energy of other people that if you are not looking after yourself, you can't do your job, basically. It's what it comes down to, isn't it?
It is, but I think it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're a healer, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a business coach, whether you do fabulous videos for people. It actually doesn't matter what it is. You are healing other people's business in your own way, and other people in your own way, because people are employing you to do jobs that they cannot do themselves. So when I look at, my accountant, I can't do tax. Like, that's not my thing. She helps me a hell of a lot energetically and emotionally by taking that stress off me and allowing me to focus on what I do well. And that's the other thing about having that boundary. Yes, okay, I could probably do my tax myself. Would I get it right? Probably not. Would it cause me a whole heap of stress? Would it take up a whole heap of time? Yes, to all of that, and probably more. And so the emotional tax that it would take on me would be huge. So for me, I look at her as she is a necessary part of my business. And that in itself is that boundary, and it allows me to do what I do better. For you doing the videos and beautiful footage for people's business, again, that's actually helping them. People seem to think that, healers are, this wonderful profession, and let's face it, we are. But it's not about us. I consider myself a facilitator. I facilitate what people's bodies want to tell them. I facilitate that. I'm a translator. People don't know how to tune into that aspect of themselves, so I help them understand what's actually going on underneath the surface. And that, when you take it to the facilitator translator type thing, you can translate that into pretty much any job that people do. They use their own skills to facilitate and translate the healing, the job that needs to be done, whatever that may be. But what we have to understand is, if we don't put boundaries in place, and if we don't look after ourselves, then our skills are kind of going to waste anyway. So if we don't prop ourselves up, if we don't lift ourselves up, if we don't take care of our inner health, our outer health, our emotional health, our mental health, our spiritual health, if we're just looking at, have I done a run around the block of late? Have I, taken myself to the gym or those sorts of things, rather than have I eaten nutritiously? Have I had some downtime? Have I had enough sleep? Is my immune system actually working, especially at the moment? There's all of those kind of aspects that we need to look at, and each one might have a certain range of boundaries in it that we need to live to for our highest good. And if we're living to our highest good, then we can actually spread our energy further. And that makes our effectiveness go that bit further as well. And often times the reason that people don't operate from that level is because of that fear and scarcity. They're afraid that if they don't put in more hours and work hard, I mean, belief systems, that's a whole other thing of, I have to work hard. Men are the breadwinners. I've had to clear that out of a lot of my female business owners' minds, that men are the breadwinners and women have to stay at home. Although that's not a conscious belief, because it was a collective belief when a lot of us were born, it's actually still in their subconscious and they're still working towards that. So again, if we don't sort of clear out some of those limiting beliefs, some of those behavioral patterns that we're living to, and we don't listen to our own body and what we need, then again, we're not able to progress as far as we perhaps might like to. And sometimes it's really hard to say no to clients. I have a number of them who will text after hours or who will call and all of that. And they're trying to eke out and I think we'll have all had these clients who try and eke out, I guess, what the agreement is, and ask for more and ask for more and ask for more and ask for more. If we don't start honoring those boundaries, then that gets very, very draining, no matter what we do for a living, no matter how we earn our money. Yeah. And that comes from a fear and scarcity mindset, which often comes from the underlying belief systems and sabotaging patterns.
Yeah. It's great. And it just, it makes you think about all the things that you're probably doing a little bit wrong and, or perhaps what we could be doing better. I know that Alistair and I talk about these things quite often on fortnightly calls that we have. Any comments from anyone else in the room? Ross seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth, but anyone else?
Yeah, I can chime in. Hello, it's Luke.
Hi, Luke.
How you going? I haven't got my video on tonight because I haven't shaved or anything like that for about 4 or 5 days. So a bit of a hairy bear.
Oh, that'd be interesting to see.
No, not really. It's a bit of a gear shift from the normal professional Luke. Yeah, it's really cool. Look, I've worked with kinesiologists and different spiral practitioners for probably about 7 or 8 years now. So, and I really sort of champion that, some of the patterns that we have, wherever they come from or however we, play them out in our lives. There's always people like yourself that, really assist people because sometimes, as you said, it can be... like the adrenaline just constantly running and, you can't really think clear, let alone feel clear. And just that mind-body connection. So, and it does work over the net. I was a skeptic and I'm a super skeptical. I'm like, no way, man. I'm not going to pay that money and, do it over the net. And the funniest thing was, it was probably the most impactful session that I'd ever had. And the person I worked with was in New York, staying at a fancy hotel over there. And he was in a bathrobe on a bed. And we did like a 45-minute session and it was amazing. So, I think you're right. It's about energy and it can be done online too. So, it's really sort of changed my life as well.
And Luke, since then, have you become more aware of, when your energy needs a bit of a fix?
Yeah. I go in ebbs and flows, but I'm kind of okay with that as well. Like I know the more I push, the less things happen. The less I push, the more things happen. It's funny like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. But you're right. Like if you want to have a Friday off, do it. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're working hard, most people know whether they're working hard and putting in, generally you can't be hard on yourself and listen to your body. I think that's with what I've learned. It's about, just testing, just saying, hey, how do I feel about this? Is it a yes? Is it a no? And your body will always tell you. It's like when you need to drink water. It's like, yeah, cool. We'll just have a sip of water, because your body's telling you. You don't necessarily know it, but you feel it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I mean, it's really interesting there. One of the questions I always ask myself, because if I ask myself, what do I want to do? I often get the answer that's perhaps not my highest good. But I ask myself, what is in my highest good right now?
Yep.
And what is in everyone's highest good right now? So it's not about what do I want to do, or what do I think other people want me to do, or any of those sorts of things. It's about what is in my highest good right now. And sometimes I don't want to rest, because I tend to be a doer. Even when I'm at home, I'll potter around, I'll just do things. I'm like a little ant just going around the house.
Yeah.
Sometimes my body is just going, no, you need to rest. And case in point, today I got up and I did a workout, and I've screwed up my knee because I actually knew that I needed to rest this morning, and my body's gone, you're not going to stop, I'm going to stop you. So there is also that aspect to it, and people don't often realize until they are in that state of injury, disease, lack of wellness, that was what their body was trying to tell them. Now, I'm usually really, really good at listening to my body, and I understand exactly what it's told me, partly because I tested it up and partly because I knew before I did that. But we often go into this self-sabotaging behavior, and we often go into thinking that pushing and effort and struggle is the way that we're going to succeed. Whereas you talk to a lot of people in really, I guess, high up roles and significant companies and all of that. And, you know, they talk about working smart, not hard, but I think even that's a little bit of a misnomer. I think it's working to the skills that you have and bringing your whole heart and soul to what you're doing and loving what you do. I think so few people enjoy what they do, and they get stuck into this, you know, I have to work hard and life's not easy, and, you know, make hay while the sun shines and enjoy it while it lasts. People seem to think that positive emotions are fleeting and negative emotions are going to be around forever. And I think that that goes into then the workforce, which means that a lot of us get into jobs that, you know, are just jobs. They're not careers. They're not life purpose. They're not things that we absolutely love doing. They're just things that pay the bills. And I think that is actually one of the big things that's going to come out on the other side of this, as you know, whether you want to call it a new normal or a return to life or whatever it is. But I think more and more people are going to start going, well, actually, what do I love? And how do I bring that in to my daily life? Because if people have done the right reflection in this hibernation, I think they're going to start to be able to tap into that stillness that we forget to tap into. I can't remember who it is, but they say that the gap between the notes in the song are actually the most important part. If there were no gaps, it would just be noise. And it's the same with us in our work life, in our home life. And the reason I don't separate out business and personal is because if we're not doing well in our business life, we're not going to be doing well in our personal life, and vice versa. We need to be us as much of the time as possible. I know that back in my corporate days, I used to be global communications manager at Shell for their transport lubricants team. And I was based in London, and I was talking to all of these people worldwide, 15,000 staff, and a lot of them had English as a second or third language. And I used to say I had to leave my personality at the door, and I'd pick it up on the way back out again, because it was a bit of a boys' club, and there was a certain persona that you had to have to be successful in that kind of company back when I was doing that role. And it's really interesting, the more I've kind of gone along, the more I've realized that the more successful companies and the more people who are successful in business are actually, they don't have this person over here who is, you know, the husband self or the wife self and the friend self and the, you know, networking self and the business owner self, and the, you know, it becomes, well, this is me. And we're not trying to put all of those different personalities out in the world. We're actually becoming more and more congruent. And those people who are able to do that, not just in their personal life, but in their business life, tend to get that much further, because they have that authenticity to themselves that people really understand and align to and gel with. And I think that's actually really, really important as well, because we become less people pleasing, and we put less assumptions on what people want and actually just tune into that truth of who we are. What do you call it? God source, star seed, you know, that bit in us that resonates with everybody who sees that purity of our spirit. And that goes into business as well. And I think, you know, the more we are able to tap into that, the more we can go straight to pretty much anyone and go, this is what you need, this is what you're missing, this is how I see, you know, you as a person, this is how I can help. And I think that becomes the guidance system.
Yeah.
Fabulous. And it can be exhausting, like as I say, having two faces. It's not sustainable. And there's many people that I've spoken to as well that it doesn't matter, you know, you're one person at work and then another when you get home. It comes out in one way or another. It'll come out, you know, through addictions, through actions. It'll come out through pain. I know people that have had, you know, back pain and hip pain, and, you know, they've had no injury. They don't even do any sport. You know, they don't sit down long enough, you know. And that's where the body can hold pain. On the same. When I don't communicate when I should, I get pain in the hip. It went on for months and I'm like, this is crazy. And then, I was doing a bit of work with a kinesiologist, and we just, every time my throat chakra, whenever I didn't tune in, came down to my third eye, throat chakra, and then non-communication, and then I'd just get pain in my hip, and it was like achy pain. And every time now I communicate, and sometimes that pain comes up. It's just the way my body telling me to communicate. It's weird, huh? People think I'm just crazy. They're going, what are you talking about? You don't talk to people and your hip gets sore.
But it's also recognizing that you need a certain level of self-awareness to understand the link, and that's the beauty of it. And that's the beauty of, you know, I love hearing that story, because now that's like your tell. Your, I need to do some work. I need to change things around here. A lot of people don't listen and don't pay attention to what their tell is. So they'll get these recurring symptoms and go, they won't join the dots, so to speak. Whereas when you learn to join the dots, you can feel that coming up. And all of a sudden it's like, right, okay. For me, I had chronic fatigue starting back in about 2012. And it's still my thing. I can feel those symptoms coming and I'm like, whoa, back off. You know, it's time for self-care. It's time to, you know, take the foot off the accelerator. It's time to really tune in and listen to what my body needs. And oftentimes it is, well, where have I let my boundaries go? Where have I allowed things to creep in that shouldn't have crept in? Where have I, you know, and their boundaries with food, their boundaries with people, their boundaries with clients, their boundaries with work, their boundaries with all sorts of different aspects of my life. And this is where that, I guess that constant dance happens of how much have I got to give. You know, it goes into that equation. Where am I giving and where am I gaining from? Because the other thing that people don't realize is that we both have feminine and masculine aspects, regardless of our gender, regardless of which gender we identify with. We all have feminine and masculine aspects. The masculine is the giving. If you think about the way men are built, they are built to penetrate. They are built to give. Women are built to receive. So if you're looking at the masculine feminine aspect, and women go on and on and on about their giving, but when they're constantly giving, and that's as mothers, as business owners, as everything, they're actually standing in their masculine. So they're not doing the other half of the equation. And even for men who are stuck in that giving, they are giving of themselves because they're not allowing themselves to receive. Now, a lot of the stuff I work on with people is things like the word allow, the word deserve, and the words receive, because people have massive blocks and massive stress around that because receiving is seen to be selfish. And so I work a lot with people on clearing that kind of thing as well, because we need to balance our giving and receiving, that masculine and feminine aspect of ourselves, to actually be standing in our full power as individuals.
Yeah, that sounds very cool. You'd probably know a lot of people that I know too, for sure, in that space.
Might do, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so yeah, very cool. Yeah, you're right. Yep, it's and it ebbs and flows, doesn't it, between the masculine and feminine? It's yeah. It's interesting, very interesting.
I've never heard that before about that. You know, the man is the giver and the woman is the receiver. That all makes sense.
It's the easiest way to describe it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's well said. Yeah.
It gets a few blushes when I say it at the women's networking meetings, but I'm like, well, it's true. It's the only way I can really describe it.
Yeah. So it is interesting because I have often said that I say it all the time that I'm a giver. So obviously that's my masculine energy. So there you go.
But women have been taught to be more, you know, actually everyone has been taught that the masculine qualities are the more desirable ones, the logic, the control, the planning, those more boundaried. Again, the boundary is the masculine. It's what allows us to feel the emotions, is knowing that we have the boundary. If we feel the big emotions without having a boundary around it, it's actually quite dangerous. We kind of don't have that container which helps us feel safe. And so it's actually really interesting when we start getting into that masculine feminine balance. I know for me, I used to go, well, this is where I can show that feminine aspect, that creativity, that play, that fun, the joyfulness, the big emotions. And this is where I do my logic and my control and my planning. Whereas what I've done over the last number of years of healing was I learned that, you know, me stepping up to the table, the masculine is that muscle testing. It is that, look, this is the proof, so to speak, that this causes stress in your body. But the intuition is that feminine. So I'm not stepping up as this part's my masculine, this part's my feminine. It's using the two together. And it's the same when I go into working on my business. The masculine tends to lead because I need to control and plan and bring in logic and decide what I'm going to do and what boundaries I put around it. But the feminine is the creative voice. And so it's about bringing in all of those aspects to our business as well, and not just going, well, in this area, I just use this aspect, and in this area, I just use this aspect. It's about actually learning to balance the two so that we're not having that fighting between them.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you just give us, in the last minute that we've got, is there something that you can give us as a little takeaway, a little freebie, something that we can do to help us with either reading our energy levels or knowing where we're at, or some kind of thing that we can do to get us out of a state? I don't know, just something.
Well, the first one you asked there is actually a really interesting one. If you spend time with a client and you come out feeling exhausted, you've given a hell of a lot more than you've received.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's just a basic. Even if you're talking to your mum and you come out more exhausted, you've tended to give more than you've received, or they've taken, because there are energy, you know, they call them energy vampires. I think that's a bit cruel because most people don't do it consciously. But that subconscious pulling of your energy, a lot of people will do that because it's like balancing everything out. The universe kind of works on balance. So if someone has a lot more energy than you, and you walk out with a lot more energy, you kind of know you've taken probably a bit of theirs, albeit on the sly and not necessarily deliberate. So you can just simply do it as a mark out of 10 when you meet somebody, and then when you walk away from them. Have you come out more energized? Have you come out about the same, or have you come out lower? And you can sort of gauge it by that. I tend to know by that tiredness. It's almost like I've got an extra weight on my shoulders. If I'm feeling a little bit like this, it's because I've gotten too much. Now, my really simple things are to take my shoes and socks off and go and stand on the grass.
All right.
And Mama Earth just, I imagine her just pulling it out and transmuting it into grass and flowers and all of that sort of stuff. I'll go for a walk on the beach. Anything that brings me back to nature will automatically bring that energy down and allow us, rather than being stuck in our heads, to come back into our body where we can actually feel a lot more. So that tends to be the number one thing I tell people to do, actually spend more time in nature, especially with shoes and socks off, actually feeling the earth and connecting into it a lot more.
Being grounded,
Yeah, absolutely. My partner had never heard any of this language before, and he's like, God, you speak a whole different language. But he's getting the hang of it now, so he understands what grounding is.
It's good. And I think on that energy level, from an entrepreneurial perspective, so if it's high, medium, or low energy, doesn't that determine how much you charge them?
I reckon. Yeah. 100%. If they're sucking
It's
your
a
energy.
sliding scale. Oh, yeah, here you
Up
go.
it goes.
Yeah,
Because realistically, money is an energy exchange.
Mm.
So if they're taking a whole heap of energy, you kind of need the energy exchange to balance out. So yeah, absolutely. A really good one, actually, a really quick last point to finish on, because there's been so much fear around and a lot of it is grief based. There's a little point that you can rub on your thumb. It's about halfway between these two knuckles, and you'll be able to tell when you hit it because it's really sore.
Mm.
Just in this soft bit on the pad of your thumb, halfway up that knuckle. It's a big stress release point. It's a lung meridian point.
It's all, mine's always sore. Should it always be sore?
No.
You should be rubbing more. Very
you
more.
need to rub it
Lots more.
Yeah. But it's a really good one to relieve stress. Actually, a lot of some of my clients who've gone through complex trauma and end up in court situations, I actually get them to sit there and do that because no one can tell you're doing it. And it stimulates the point. So you don't need to necessarily rub it. I tend to because, you know, I like that little bit of extra, you know, I want to know when it's not sore anymore.
The solar plexus a lot too, which is right in the middle.
Yeah, this one's a good one for grief and guilt and inspiration.
Oh, right.
So bringing back that inspiration.
There you go.
Which we all need right now.
I'll be rubbing that one all night now.
Yeah.
For the last week, I've been trying to find the spot to stop me coughing because I know there's a spot.
Oh, there'd be one. Come on. Which one is that? The chest up here?
It should be this part of your thumb, but God, it was only codeine that worked. I found my codeine button finally.
It's got nothing to do with kinesiology, but hey, it's all...
Well, that's reflexology, technically.
Love it. Yeah.
But again, that because it's lungs, if you're coughing, that'll help you. But usually, coughing's trying to get something off your chest.
Literally,
yeah. You got to give up the smokes. I keep saying that. Yeah.
It's that pack of Winnie Blues I have every day.
I know, that's why she's sitting where she is. She's hiding that part in her picture where there's the Winnie Blues on the desk.
Sorry, we have to bring a bit of light, bit of fun, don't we, to the end. Yeah.
I've never bought a pack of cigarettes in my life. Actually,
you keep telling yourself.
I lied because I used to have to buy them for clients when I worked at Crown Casino. They'd give you their $6.70 to buy a pack of Peter Stuyvesant's out of the vending machine. They were at $6.70 and that was in like when was that? When did I work at Crown? 1997, 8, all that time. It's not that long ago that cigarettes were that cheap.
We've digressed from health to smoking now. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Who smokes now? You can't afford it. What are they, $50 a packet now or something?
It's insane.
No good.
It's amazing. I've still got a number of clients who smoke, and I actually had to tell a number of them that they cannot come into clinic if they've smoked because I actually get really, really sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit sensitive to that.
It goes straight to mine lungs. I just feel it straight away and just feel tight. Have to have Ventolin and everything.
Oh, wow.
And getting a whiff. So, yeah, it's disgusting.
No good. Back to rubbing our thumbs then, yeah?
That's right.
Oh.
Do your lung points. Clear them up.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much tonight for that tonight, Amanda. That was great. And if anyone wants to contact Amanda, your business is called, why can't I think of the name? It's just called Amanda Kate Kinesiology, isn't it?
I know.
I was thinking you had another name. I was thinking of your logo. It's an infinity-shaped logo. And I was thinking, there's another name. But no, it's Amanda Kate Kinesiology.
It is.
Normally
simple.
Normally based in McKinnon, but at the moment, based on Zoom.
Based everywhere.
Just on, like everyone else. So, yes, happy isolation time, everyone.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for my #1 hit song that is coming out soon called The 12 Days of ISO.
Lovely. I can't wait.
Coming soon.
12 days. I've been 3.5 weeks.
I'll give you...
It's going to be a long one.
I'll give you
Mine's
a
called
hint.
cabin fever. Cabin fever ISO.
My first line is, on the first day of ISO, Straya gave to me, it's Straya. Straya gave to me a pack of sorbent TP. That's my first one, okay? And then it goes on from there.
I wish I could have gotten some sorbent TP.
So, yes.
It's a
I
worry.
love it.
Yeah. So have a great week, everyone.
Yes, you guys too. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to connecting again soon.
And next week, Easter Monday, is me talking about a nice chocolatey topic, all about showing that gooey love to your customers and a bit of showing the love to your customers. One of my favorite topics of relationship marketing.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Can't wait.
We'll see you all on the flip side. And if anyone is watching this and not in the All for One community, please join us at bit.ly/all-for-one community. And we will accept you into our group as soon as you pay us $1 million. So, yeah, that's about it from all of us. And thank you again, Amanda. See you later, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good.